There is something happening right now that most people are not equipped to see. Not because it is hidden, not because it requires special access or rare knowledge or years of preparation, but because the moment you see it clearly, the moment you actually look at what is occurring in the field around you, in the mechanics of your own consciousness, in the way reality is responding to your attention this very second, you cannot go back to the version of yourself that didn't know. And that is what you have been afraid of, not the seeing, the going back being impossible. So let's begin there. Let's begin with the thing you have been circling. The quiet suspicion that has been following you, not loudly, not dramatically, but persistently. The sense that something in the structure of reality is more responsive than you were ever told. That the gap between what you hold in your awareness and what appears in your physical experience is far shorter than the years of effort and striving and hoping would suggest. That there are forces, intelligences, if you want to use that word, watching the quality of your observation and responding to it with a precision that would shock you if you let yourself see it fully. You have felt this. You already know this. You just haven't admitted it to yourself yet. Today, you look, because here is what is actually happening. Here is what the title of this transmission points at. And here's what the quantum mechanics behind it confirm. And here is what the oldest traditions on this planet have been trying to say for thousands of years in language that modern science is only now catching up to. Reality is not a fixed thing you are moving through. It is a probability field that is collapsing into specific form. Right now, in this moment, and in every moment, based on the frequency and quality of your observation. And when your observation reaches a certain clarity, a certain stillness, a certain precision, when you stop reacting long enough to actually watch, the collapse happens faster than physics currently has comfortable language for. That's not belief. That's quantum mechanics. But there is a layer underneath that. And this is where most people stop looking. This is where the conversation about manifestation and reality creation and the observer effect gets comfortable and stops going deeper. Because the deeper layer is this: you are not the only observer. Sit with that for a moment. Don't rush past what you just saw. You are not the only observer in this field. There is something that the ancient traditions called by many names, higher intelligences, elevated beings, the watchers, the architects of consciousness, and what modern quantum field theory is beginning to describe in its own language as non-local consciousness, as observer effects that cannot be accounted for by individual biological systems alone. There is something watching this field alongside you, and what shocks these intelligences, what genuinely surprises them, if surprise is a concept that applies, is not that humans can manifest reality. It is how fast it happens when a human being finally, truly stops looking away. That speed. That rate of collapse from probability to physical form. That is what this transmission is about. Not the technique, not the steps, not the formula you are supposed to follow. The speed, because the speed is a function of one thing and one thing only: the quality of your observation. The clarity with which you see what is actually here, what is actually possible, what has actually been available to you this entire time, while you were busy looking at everything except the thing that changes everything. Look closer. Let's go into what is actually happening in the quantum field when you observe, because this is not metaphor. This is not poetry. dressed up in scientific language to make you feel better about wanting things. This is the actual mechanics of what occurs when consciousness, specifically directed, clear, undefended consciousness, encounters the probability field that underlies physical reality. In 1927, at the Solvay conference in Brussels, the greatest minds in physics gathered to grapple with something that should not have been possible. Werner Heisenberg had already published his uncertainty principle. Niels Bohr was developing what would become the Copenhagen interpretation. And what they were all circling, what they were all trying to find language for, was a discovery so radical that many of them spent the rest of their lives uncomfortable with its implications. The act of observation is not passive. It does not simply record what is there. It participates in determining what becomes there. The double-slit experiment had shown this with devastating clarity. An electron, a particle of matter, when not observed, travels through both slits simultaneously, existing as a wave of probability, as pure potential, as every possible version of itself at once. The moment an observer is introduced, the moment a measuring device is placed to detect which slit the electron passes through, the wave function collapses, the probability field resolves. The electron becomes a particle. It chooses, or rather, the observation forces a choice. This is not a quirk of subatomic physics that disappears at the human scale. This is the fundamental operating principle of reality. The wave function of possibility collapses into specific form through the act of observation. What you observe, you change. What you do not observe remains in superposition, remains as potential, as unresolved possibility, as the quantum foam of what could be. Now here is what no one tells you about observation. Most people, when they hear this, immediately start trying to observe harder, to stare at their desires with more intensity, to focus on what they want with more concentration, to visualize with more detail and emotional charge. And the quantum field responds to this the way water responds to someone trying to grab it with a clenched fist. The harder you squeeze, the less you hold. Because observation in the quantum sense is not effortful attention. It is not strained focus. It is not the anxious watching of someone waiting for a pot to boil. Observation in the quantum sense is witness consciousness. It is the quality of attention that sees clearly without needing what it sees to be different. It is the stillness of a mirror that reflects everything without distorting anything. And it is in that quality of observation, that clear, undefended, non-reactive watching, that the field collapses with the speed that shocks the intelligences watching alongside you. Most people never get there. Most people are reacting too fast to observe. They look at their current reality and immediately react to it, with judgment, with fear, with desire, with resistance. And that reaction collapses the wave function into more of the same. More of what they've already been experiencing. Because what they're observing is not the probability field. What they're observing is the story they've been telling about the probability field, and the field, being responsive, collapses into that story again. If this transmission is already doing something in you, if something is shifting in the quality of how you are seeing right now, like this video and subscribe so you stay in this field. More of this work is here, and it goes deeper. Now let's keep going. Watch what happens when you stop doing that. Watch what happens when you look at your current reality, all of it, including the parts you've been avoiding. And you observe it without reaction, without needing it to be different, without the story you've been telling about why it is the way it is. Just watch, just see. And in that seeing, something extraordinary occurs. The field recognizes a clear observer, and a clear observer changes the field. This is where the speed comes from. This is why it is shocking. Because when a human being achieves genuine observer consciousness, not as a practice they do for 20 minutes in the morning, but as the fundamental position from which they engage reality, the collapse rate accelerates beyond what normal cause and effect timelines would predict. Things that should take years happen in months. Things that should take months happen in days. Things that should take days happen in hours. Not because the laws of physics are being broken, because the laws of physics are finally being fully engaged. Let me show you something. Let me take you into a story that will make this precise. There was a woman named Mira. She had spent 11 years building a life that looked from the outside like a reasonable approximation of what a life should look like. She had the work, the relationships, the routines, the carefully maintained appearance of someone who had figured out the basic mechanics of existing. And she had a dream, not a vague wish, but a specific, detailed, deeply felt vision of what her life was supposed to become. She had read the books, she had done the visualizations, she had written the journal entries and spoken the affirmations and attended the seminars and believed with the part of her that wanted to believe that she was doing the work. And yet the vision remained vision. The dream remained dream. The life remained what it had been, with slight variations for 11 years. She came to a point, not a dramatic breakdown, not a crisis, but a quiet, devastating clarity, where she stopped, not because she gave up, because she finally got honest enough to ask the question she had been avoiding. Not why isn't it working, but what have I been actually observing? And when she sat with that question, when she actually looked without defending herself from what she saw it. She had been observing the gap every single day, in every visualization, in every affirmation, in every moment of desire and focus and intention. She had been observing the distance between where she was and where she wanted to be. She had been collapsing the wave function into the experience of wanting, of not yet, of almost but not quite. The field had been responding perfectly. It had been giving her exactly what she was observing, the experience of reaching for something that remained just out of reach. The moment she saw this, the moment she truly looked at what she had been doing, something shifted that she could not explain in the language she had been using. She stopped trying to observe her way to the vision. She started observing the present moment with the quality of attention she had been saving for the imagined future. She brought the clarity, the stillness, the genuine interest, the undefended seeing, all of it, to what was here, right now in front of her. Within 6 weeks, the architecture of her life had reorganized in ways that her 11 years of effort had not produced. She did not understand how. She only understood what she had changed, the quality of her observation. And the field had responded to that quality with a speed that shocked her. And you have been both the one who looks and the one who looks away. But today, you chose to look. Now let's go deeper into what you're actually seeing, because the Mira story is not about technique. It is not a formula you can extract and apply. It is pointing at something more precise, more specific, more directly relevant to what is happening in your field right now. The question is not what you want to manifest. The question is what you have been observing. And underneath that, what have you been refusing to observe? Because here is the layer that most people never reach. Here is the thing that sits beneath all the desire and all the effort and all the carefully constructed intention. There is something in your current reality, something specific, something that has been there for some time that you have been looking past, not at past. You have developed a practice skill of directing your attention around it, over it, in any direction except directly at it. And that thing, whatever it is the exact center of the quantum knot that is slowing your collapse rate. What you avoid observing controls you. This is not a moral statement, it is a mechanical one. When you refuse to observe something, when you maintain a consistent practice of not looking at a specific aspect of your reality, you are not making it disappear. You are keeping it in a state of quantum superposition that is energetically expensive to maintain. It takes continuous effort to not see something. It takes continuous attention to keep your attention away from it. And that effort, that sustained redirection of your observational capacity, is exactly what is preventing the field from collapsing into the new configuration you say you want. The thing you are avoiding looking at is the exact thing that transforms when you do. Pause here. This is not a thought exercise. This is an observation. I want you to do something right now, not later, not after this transmission, right now. Close your eyes if you can, or soften your gaze if you are somewhere that makes closing your eyes difficult. And I want you to ask yourself, not with urgency, not with anxiety, but with the genuine curiosity of a clear observer. What is the thing I have been looking past? Not the big dramatic thing, not the story you tell yourself about your biggest problem, the specific thing, the quiet thing. The thing that, when you let your attention drift toward it in unguarded moments, produces a particular quality of discomfort that you have learned to immediately redirect. The thing you have an almost automatic response to not seeing. Find it. Let it come into focus. Now, without judging it, without needing it to be different, without immediately jumping to what you should do about it, just watch it. Just see it. Let your observation land on it with the same quality of attention you give to something you are genuinely curious about, not afraid of, not desperate to fix, just watching. Notice what happens in your body when you do this. Notice where the tension is. Notice where the breath changes. Notice what your mind immediately wants to do. The story it wants to tell, the solution it wants to propose, the distraction it wants to create. And notice who is noticing all of that. That noticing, that awareness, that is watching the tension and the story and the impulse to look away. That is the observer. That is you in your most fundamental form. And that observer, that clear, undefended watching, is the most powerful position in the universe. Open your eyes. What you just did in those few moments is more transformative than 11 years of effortful manifestation practice. Because you looked, you brought your observation to the thing that has been running your reality from outside your awareness. And the moment you looked at it, truly looked, without the story, without the reaction, without the immediate impulse to fix or flee, the wave function of that situation began to shift. Not because you did anything, because you saw it clearly. That's not belief, that's quantum mechanics. What did you see when you stopped looking away? Drop it in the comments. Not the story, just the quality of it. One word, one phrase. What became visible the moment you actually looked? Now let's go into the layer underneath that. The layer that connects your individual observation to the larger field. The layer that explains why the beings, the intelligences, the elevated observers that this transmission's title points at, why they are, in the most precise sense of that word, shocked. There is a concept in quantum field theory called non-local entanglement. The idea that particles that have once been in contact maintain a connection across any distance. That what happens to one instantaneously affects the other, regardless of the space between them. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance and spent years trying to disprove it. Bell's theorem and subsequent experiments confirmed it beyond reasonable doubt. Entanglement is real, non-local connection is real. The universe is not a collection of separate things that occasionally interact. It is a single entangled system in which every part is connected to every other part through a field of information that transcends space and time as we experience them. Now, if this is true at the subatomic level, and it is, then what does it mean at the level of consciousness? What does it mean for the quality of your observation? It means that your observation is not local. It means that when you achieve the quality of clear, still, undefended witnessing, when you stop reacting and start watching, you are not just affecting the immediate field of your personal experience. You are affecting the larger field. You are sending information through the entangled network of consciousness that connects you to every other observer in the system. And the beings that the ancient traditions describe as existing at higher frequencies of consciousness, the intelligences that the Vedic traditions called devas, that the Hermetic traditions called intelligences of the spheres, that modern channeling traditions describe as guides and counsels and watchers, these are not separate from this field, they are more fully embedded in it. They perceive more of it. They see, with a clarity that individual human consciousness in its reactive state cannot access, the entire probability field of what is possible for a given consciousness. And when they watch a human being, a consciousness that has been contracting and reacting and looking away, suddenly stop, suddenly become still, suddenly look directly at what it has been avoiding with the quality of a clear observer. When they watch the wave function of that person's reality begin to collapse at a rate that the previous pattern of observation would never have produced. That is what shocks them, not the manifestation itself, the speed of it, the sudden acceleration, the collapse rate that occurs when a human being discovers, not as a concept, but as a lived, embodied, practiced reality, that they are the observer, that the observer is the most powerful position in the universe, that what they watch, they change, and that what they have been watching, without knowing it, has been creating exactly what they've been experiencing. Look closer, because we need to be precise about what is meant by higher beings or elevated intelligences, because this is where the conversation can slip into comfortable fantasy or dismissed as superstition, and neither of those responses is honest. Neither of them is what a clear observer would choose. The honest position is this: there are forms of consciousness in this universe that are not identical to individual human biological consciousness. This is not a controversial claim. It is, in fact, the position that the most rigorous scientific thinking points toward when followed without defensiveness. The quantum field itself, the underlying probability field from which all physical reality emerges, is not a mindless mechanical system. It is responsive. It responds to observation, and a field that responds to observation is, by definition, in some relationship with consciousness. Whether you call what exists in that field higher beings, or elevated intelligences, or non-local observers, or simply the deeper layers of the consciousness field itself, the name matters less than the recognition that you are not observing alone, that your shift in the quality of your observation does not occur in isolation, that when you move from reactive looking to clear witnessing, you are not just changing your personal experience. You are participating in a field of observation that extends far beyond the boundaries of your individual life. And that field notices, that field responds, that field, however you choose to understand its nature, is in some sense oriented toward the expansion of consciousness, toward the increase of clarity, toward the acceleration of the collapse of what is possible into what is actual. And when you choose to be a clear observer, you are aligned with that orientation. You are moving with the current of the field rather than against it. That alignment is what produces the speed. That is why it is shocking. Because most human consciousness is not aligned with that current. Most human consciousness is fighting the current, reacting, resisting, looking away, maintaining the enormous energetic cost of not seeing. And the field, being responsive, reflects that fight back as friction, as slowness, as the experience of wanting something and watching it remain perpetually just out of reach. The moment you stop fighting the current, the moment you become the observer instead of the reactor, the field carries you. And what the field can carry a clear observer to in the time it takes a reactive consciousness to take one step forward is genuinely difficult to comprehend from inside the reactive state. Now watch what happens when we apply this to your specific situation. Because this is where the transmission has to become personal. Not in the sense of me knowing the details of your life, I don't. But in the sense that what we have been building here is not abstract knowledge. It is a precise description of what is happening in your field right now. And the question is whether you are willing to look at it directly. There is a version of your reality that you have been holding in a particular configuration through the consistency of your observation, not consciously, not deliberately, but consistently. The way you see your relationship to money, to love, to health, to purpose, to your own potential, these are not neutral observations. They are observations with history. They are observations that have been running in some cases for decades, laying down grooves in the quantum field of your experience, collapsing the wave function into the same approximate shape again and again with remarkable consistency. And here's the thing about consistent observation. The field becomes very efficient at collapsing in the direction you've been pointing it. It gets faster at producing what you've been observing. Which means that if you have been observing limitation, not because you wanted to, but because that is what your attention has been trained to find, the field has become very efficient at producing limitation. Very fast at collapsing into the experience of not enough, of struggle, of the gap between where you are and where you want to be. The acceleration works in both directions. The field collapses faster the more consistently you observe in a particular direction. Which means that when you shift the quality of your observation, when you move from reactive looking to clear witnessing, when you stop observing the gap and start observing the actual field of possibility, the acceleration in the new direction is equally dramatic. This is what produces the speed that shocks. This is why someone who has been observing limitation for 20 years can shift into a period of extraordinary expansion in what looks from the outside like an impossibly short time. Because the field was already efficient, The machinery of collapse was already running fast, only the direction changed. Look closer. Let's go into the specific mechanics of how this shift happens. Because saying shift the quality of your observation is pointing at something real, but it requires more precision. It requires looking at what specifically changes when you move from reactive consciousness to observer consciousness. The first thing that changes is the relationship to time. A reactive consciousness is always in a particular relationship with time. Specifically, it is always located in either the past or the future. It is either looking at what has happened, the evidence of limitation, the history of not working, the accumulated proof of why things are the way they are, or it is looking at the future in a particular way, as the place where things will finally be different, as the location of the desired reality, as the destination that is not yet reached. Both of these orientations keep the reactive consciousness out of the present moment. And the present moment is the only location where the wave function actually collapses. The past is already collapsed. It is not probability, it is history. You cannot observe your way to a different past. The future is pure probability, it is wave function that has not yet been collapsed. You cannot observe the future into being. You can only observe in the present. And the quality of that present observation determines what the future collapses into. The observer consciousness lives in the present moment, not as a spiritual aspiration, but as a quantum mechanical necessity. The observer is the one who sees what is actually here, right now, in this moment, without the overlay of past history or future projection. And in that present moment observation, the field is most responsive. The collapse rate is highest. The speed is maximum. The second thing that changes is the relationship to the observed. A reactive consciousness is always in a particular relationship with what it observes. Specifically, it is always either wanting the observed to be different or afraid that it won't be. There is always a judgment, always a preference, always a resistance or a grasping. And that resistance or grasping is what creates the quantum friction. It is what slows the collapse rate. Because you cannot clearly observe something you are simultaneously trying to change. The act of trying to change what you're observing introduces a distortion into the observation that prevents the field from receiving clear information about what you're actually pointing at. The observer consciousness sees without needing what it sees to be different. This is not indifference. This is not resignation. This is the most active, most engaged, most powerful position possible. The position of the witness who sees clearly and whose clarity itself is the transformative force. The observer does not try to change what it sees. It sees so clearly that change is the inevitable response of the field. This is the distinction that most manifestation teaching misses entirely. It teaches you to want clearly, to intend clearly, to visualize clearly, but it does not teach you to see clearly. And the field responds to seeing, not to wanting. The field responds to the quality of your observation, not the intensity of your desire. Desire by itself is not an observation. Desire is a reaction to the absence of what is desired. And a reaction, no matter how intense, no matter how heartfelt, no matter how sustained, is not a clear observation. It is the field observing the gap, and the gap is what the field then collapses into. The third thing that changes is the relationship to identity. And this is the deepest layer. This is the one that most people are not ready for, which is why it tends to come last in any genuine transmission about the observer effect. The reactive consciousness has an identity, a story, a collection of beliefs about who it is, what it is capable of, what it deserves, what is possible for it specifically. And every observation it makes is filtered through that identity. It does not see the field of probability. It sees the field of probability as interpreted by the story of who it is. And the field, being responsive, collapses into a reality that is consistent with the story. The observer consciousness, the genuine observer, the witness who sees without the overlay of the personal story, has no fixed identity. Not because it has lost itself, but because it has found something more fundamental than the story. It has found the one who is watching the story. And that one, the watcher, the witness, the pure observer, is not limited by the story, is not filtered by the history, is not confined to the probability space that the story defines as possible. When you observe from the position of the witness, when you watch your own thoughts, your own reactions, your own desires and fears and stories, and you notice that there is something watching all of that, something that is not any of those things, but is aware of all of them, you have found the observer. And the observer, once found, does not collapse the field into the story. It collapses the field into something far vaster, something that the story would never have allowed you to see as possible. This is why the speed is shocking, because the story has limits. The witness does not. Watch your thoughts right now, just for a moment. Watch them arising and passing, one after another, in the field of your awareness. Notice that you can watch them. Notice that the watching is not the thoughts. Notice that there is something, call it awareness, call it consciousness, call it the observer, that is present whether the thoughts are pleasant or unpleasant, whether they are hopeful or fearful, whether they are about the past or the future, something that remains constant while the thoughts change. Who is watching right now? That question is not rhetorical. That question is the most important question you can ask, because the answer is not a thought. The answer is the observer itself, recognizing itself. And in that recognition, in that moment where the observer sees itself seeing, the entire probability field of your reality is available, not just the slice of it that your story has been collapsing into, all of it. The full wave function of what is possible for a consciousness that is not limited by its own narrative. This is what the elevated intelligences see when they observe a human consciousness making this shift. They see a wave function expand. They see the probability space of what is possible for that consciousness suddenly include things that were previously outside the range of collapse. And then they watch those things begin to manifest, begin to collapse from probability into physical form at a rate that the previous story-bound consciousness would never have produced. That is the shock, that is the speed, that is what this transmission is pointing at. Let me take you into another story, because we need to see this from a different angle. We need to see what happens when the observer shift occurs in the context of something specific, not abstract, not philosophical, but the specific texture of a life being lived. There was a man named Elias. He had been, by any reasonable external measure, successful. He had built things, achieved things, accumulated things that the world recognized as evidence of a life well lived. And he was, at a level he rarely allowed himself to fully acknowledge, profoundly disconnected from all of it. The success felt like something that had happened to a version of him that he was performing. The life felt like a construction he was maintaining, and underneath the maintenance, underneath the performance, there was a question he had been refusing to look at for so long that he had almost forgotten it was there. The question was not about what he wanted. He knew what he wanted. He had known for a long time. The question was about what he was, not what he had achieved or built or accumulated. What he was at the level that existed before the achieving and building and accumulating. What was there when the performance stopped? He was afraid of that question, not because he thought the answer would be nothing, though that fear was present, but because he suspected the answer would be something so different from the life he had constructed that seeing it clearly would make the construction impossible to maintain. And the construction, for all its hollowness, was familiar. It was known, it was his, so he looked past the question. For years, he directed his considerable intelligence and energy and capability toward everything except that direct looking. He refined the construction, he improved the performance, he added layers and dimensions and achievements to the story of who he was, each one a more elaborate way of not looking at the thing underneath. Until the day the construction cracked, not dramatically, not a crisis, not a collapse, but a hairline fracture that let in just enough light that he could no longer pretend he didn't see it. A moment of genuine stillness in which the performance paused, and the question was there, unavoidable, patient as it had always been. He looked. He let himself look. Not at what he feared would be there, at what was actually there. And what was actually there was not nothing. And it was not the catastrophic incompatibility with his life that he had feared. What was there was the observer itself. The part of him that had been watching the performance all along, noting with quiet precision every moment of disconnection, every instance of looking away, every choice to maintain the construction rather than question it. The part that had never been fooled by the story, even when he was. He spent 3 days in a quality of observation he had never previously accessed, not meditating in any formal sense, not doing any practice, just watching his thoughts about his life, watching his reactions to what he saw when he looked at his life clearly, watching the stories arise and the defenses activate and the impulse to look away reassert itself, and watching himself choose again and again to keep looking. On the 4th day, he made a decision, not a dramatic one, not one that the people around him would have even noticed in the moment, but a decision that emerged from clear seeing rather than from the story. A decision that the observer made rather than the construction. Within 4 months, the life he had been performing had reorganized around a center that was actually his. Not because he had forced it, not because he had manifested it through technique or visualization or sustained desire, but because the quality of his observation had changed, because he had finally looked at what he had been avoiding. And the field, being responsive to clear observation, had collapsed into a configuration that was consistent with what he actually was rather than what he had been performing. He told someone later, someone who asked how it had happened so fast, that he didn't know how to explain it except this. He had stopped looking away. And the moment he stopped looking away, reality stopped pretending to be what he had been looking at. And you have been both the one who looks and the one who looks away. But today you chose to look. Has there been a moment in your own life when seeing something clearly, really seeing it without the story, dissolved its power over you? When the act of looking directly at something made it shift in a way that effort never had? Tell me in the comments what that was like. Because your observation, named and shared, adds to the field. Now let's go into the application. The specific, direct, personal application of everything we have been building here. Because the transmission is not complete until it lands in your actual life. Until it connects to the specific configuration of your reality right now. The specific thing you have been observing. The specific thing you have been avoiding observing. The specific gap between what is and what is possible for a consciousness that is willing to see clearly. Let's be precise about what observing clearly actually requires in the context of your daily life. Not the elevated moments, not the 3-day stillness retreats. The ordinary Tuesday morning when the same pattern is presenting itself again, and you have the choice, as you have had every other Tuesday morning, between reacting and witnessing. The reactive response is automatic. It is fast. It is comfortable in the way that familiar discomfort is comfortable. You know exactly how it feels. You know exactly where it goes. You know exactly how the story ends. You see the pattern. You feel the familiar contraction. You generate the familiar thought. You take the familiar action or non-action, and the wave function collapses into the familiar outcome again. With the field's remarkable efficiency, the observer response requires a pause, a single moment. It does not need to be long, in which you choose to watch rather than react, in which you notice the pattern arising, in which you see the familiar contraction and the familiar thought and the familiar impulse. And you watch them. Not suppress them, not transcend them, not analyze them. Watch them. And in that watching, something happens. The pattern, which has been running automatically because it has never been clearly observed, suddenly has an observer. And an observed pattern is not the same as an unobserved pattern. The observation changes it, not through effort, through clarity. This is the practice, not a formal meditation, though formal meditation can support it. Not a technique you do at a particular time of day, though dedicated practice deepens the capacity. The practice is this: in the moment when you would normally react, pause. What? See what is actually happening in your body, in your thoughts, in the field of your experience, without immediately generating the story about what it means and what you should do about it. Just watch, for one moment, for the length of one breath, for the duration of a single clear observation, and notice what the field does in response. Let me give you a specific practice to work with right now. This is the second observer practice in this transmission, and it goes deeper than the first. Pause here. This is not a thought exercise. This is an observation. Think of the thing in your life that feels most stuck. Not the most dramatic thing, the thing that has been in the same configuration for the longest time. The thing that you have tried to change through effort and will and strategy and desire, and that has remained, with slight variations, essentially the same. Now, instead of looking at the thing itself, look at how you have been looking at it. Notice the quality of your observation of this situation. Notice whether there is tension in it. Notice whether there is urgency or fear or resistance or grasping. Notice whether you are observing the situation or observing the story you have about the situation. Notice whether you are seeing what is actually there or seeing what you expect to be there based on what has been there before. Notice all of that. And then, this is the key. Shift the quality of your observation without shifting the object of your observation. Keep looking at the same situation, but look at it the way you would look at something you have never seen before, the way you would look at something that genuinely surprised you. the way you would look at something that you are curious about rather than afraid of. Notice what happens when you do this. Notice whether the situation looks exactly the same, or whether something in it, some detail, some aspect, some dimension you had not previously registered, becomes visible. Because the field has not changed, the situation has not changed. Only the quality of your observation has changed. And yet something is different. Something that was not visible before is now visible. Some aspect of the probability field that your previous observation was collapsing past is now accessible. That is the field responding to a clear observer. That is the wave function beginning to shift. That is the beginning of the acceleration that produces the speed that shocks. Sit with what you just saw. Don't rush past it. Don't immediately convert it into a plan or an action or a story about what it means. Just let the observation be complete. Let what you saw be seen. Let the field register the quality of your attention. Now here's the deeper layer. Here is what we have been building toward. The reason that elevated intelligences, whatever you understand that to mean, whatever framework you bring to that concept, are shocked by the speed at which a clear observer can manifest reality is not because the speed is supernatural. It is because the speed reveals something about the nature of the field that most human consciousness never gets to see. The field is not resistant to what you want. The field is not withholding. The field is not testing you or making you prove your worthiness or requiring a certain amount of suffering before it releases what is possible. The field is responsive. It is always, in every moment, collapsing into the most precise reflection of the quality of observation it is receiving. It is doing its job perfectly. It has always been doing its job perfectly. What looks like resistance is not resistance from the field. It is resistance from the observer. It is the observer looking away from what would transform the situation. It is the observer maintaining the story that limits the probability space. It is the observer choosing again and again the familiar contraction over the clear seeing. And the moment the observer stops, the moment the resistance drops, the moment the looking away ceases, the moment the story is seen through rather than lived inside, the field has been waiting with perfect patience to collapse into what is actually possible. And it does so with the speed of something that was ready all along. That is what shocks, not that it happens, that it was always available, that the only thing that was ever in the way was the quality of the observation. This is the truth that the ancient traditions have been pointing at in their different languages. The Vedantic concept of Maya, the illusion, is not saying that the world is not real. It is saying that what you take to be the world is a construction of your observation. And when your observation clears, the construction reveals what was always beneath it. The Hermetic principle of mentalism, the all is mind, is not mystical speculation. It is a precise description of the relationship between consciousness and the field of reality. The Buddhist concept of dependent origination, that all phenomena arise in dependence on the conditions that observe them, is quantum mechanics stated in the language of the 6th century BCE. These traditions were not describing a spiritual practice separate from ordinary reality. They were describing the operating principle of ordinary reality, seen clearly enough to be recognized for what it is. And what they all point to in their different languages is this: the observer is not separate from the observed. The consciousness that watches the field is not outside the field looking in. It is the field becoming aware of itself. And when the field becomes aware of itself through a consciousness that is clear enough, still enough, undefended enough to see without distorting, the field reorganizes around that clarity. Not because the observer commanded it to, because that is what the field does when it encounters a clear mirror. You are not here to fix your life. You are here to watch it transform the moment you stop looking away. Let's go into what this means for the specific areas where you have been most stuck, because the principle is universal, but the application is always specific. And specificity is what makes the difference between a concept you find interesting and a transformation you actually experience. The area of your life where you feel the most limitation, whether that is financial, relational, physical, creative, purposeful, is the area where your observation has been most consistently filtered through the story of limitation. It is the area where the gap between what is and what is possible has been most regularly observed. It is the area where the wave function has been most consistently collapsed into the same approximate configuration. And it is therefore the area where a shift in the quality of your observation will produce the most dramatic acceleration. Because the field has been running efficiently in that direction, the machinery is already fast. Only the direction needs to change, but here is what the direction change actually requires. Here's what is specific and precise about it. It is not a change in what you want. It is not a change in what you visualize or intend or affirm. It is a change in what you are willing to see. In the area of greatest limitation, there is something specific that you have not been willing to see. Not about what you want, about what is actually here, about the pattern that has been producing the limitation, about the specific quality of observation that has been collapsing the field into this configuration. When you look at that, when you see it clearly, without judgment, without the story about what it means about you, without the defensive reaction that immediately wants to explain it or justify it or fix it, the pattern loses its power. Not because you did something to it, because you saw it, and what is seen clearly cannot continue to operate in the dark. This is the mechanic, this is the quantum reality of it. The pattern that has been running your limitation has been running precisely because it has not been observed. It has been the thing you look past, the thing you look around, the thing you acknowledge in the abstract, while refusing to see in the specific. And in that not seeing, it has had complete freedom to collapse the field into its preferred configuration. The moment you see it, the moment your observation lands on it with genuine clarity, it is no longer unobserved. It is no longer operating in the quantum dark. It has been measured. And a measured system cannot maintain superposition. It must collapse. And the collapse, when it comes from clear observation, rather than reactive judgment, collapses in the direction of what is actually possible, rather than what the pattern has been producing. Look closer. There is one more layer, and this is the layer that brings everything together. This is the layer that connects your individual observation to the larger field. Your personal shift to the collective acceleration, your decision to be a clear observer to the field of observers that exists beyond the boundaries of your individual consciousness. You are not doing this alone. This is not a comforting platitude. This is a quantum mechanical statement. You are entangled with the field of consciousness that includes every other observer who has ever made the choice to see clearly. Every consciousness that has ever chosen witnessing over reacting. Every being, human and otherwise, that has ever occupied the observer position and allowed the field to reorganize around their clarity. That field of observation is not a metaphor. It is a real quantum field. And when you add your observation to it, when you choose to be a clear witness in this moment, in this life, in this specific situation, you are contributing to the coherence of that field. You are strengthening the signal. You are adding your clarity to the collective clarity that is, in the most literal sense, changing the observable universe. This is why the elevated intelligences, the higher beings, the advanced observers, whatever framework you use, are not just watching individual humans make this shift. They are watching the collective field. They are watching the aggregate quality of observation across human consciousness. And they are watching something that has not been seen before in the history of this planet's consciousness. An accelerating number of individual observers choosing clarity over reaction, choosing witnessing over looking away, choosing to see what has been avoided, rather than maintaining the enormous energetic cost of not seeing. The collective acceleration is real. The field is shifting, not because of any external force or cosmic event or scheduled spiritual upgrade, because of the quality of observation that an increasing number of individual consciousnesses are choosing to bring to their experience. And every time you choose to be the observer, every time you pause before reacting, every time you look directly at what you've been avoiding, every time you see without needing what you see to be different, you are participating in that collective shift. You are adding your signal to the field. You are part of what is shocking the elevated intelligences with the speed of what is possible. This is not small. This is not personal. This is the most significant thing you can do with your consciousness in this moment. Not because it is dramatic or visible or recognized by the people around you, because it is real, because it changes the field. Because the field, being entangled, carries that change to every other consciousness in the network. What you watch, you change, and what you change changes everything connected to it. Now let's make this practical. Let's bring this all the way down to what you actually do, not as a spiritual practice separate from your life, but as the fundamental orientation from which you engage every moment of your life. The observer practice is not something you do, it is something you are, or more precisely, it is what you discover you already are when you stop being everything else. When you stop being the reactor, the storyteller, the avoider, the striver, the performer. When all of that is seen clearly enough to be recognized as what it is rather than what you are, what remains is the observer, the witness, the clear seeing that has been present all along, watching all of it, waiting for you to notice it noticing. The practice is the noticing. The practice is the recognition. The practice is the moment-by-moment choice to inhabit the observer position rather than the reactor position. And that choice, made consistently, not perfectly, not without slipping back into reaction, but consistently returned to, changes the fundamental quality of your observation. And the field responds to that change with the speed that shocks. Here is what that looks like in the specific texture of your daily life. When you wake up in the morning and the first thoughts arise, the assessments of the day ahead, the replays of yesterday, the anticipations and anxieties and plans. Instead of immediately engaging with those thoughts as if they are reality, watch them. Watch them arise. Notice the quality of them. Notice what they are observing. Notice whether they are collapsing the field toward the story or toward the possibility. And then, before you respond, before you get up, before you begin the machinery of the day, spend one moment in the observer position, one moment of clear, undefended seeing, one moment where you are not the thoughts, but the awareness of the thoughts. That one moment, done consistently, changes the quality of observation for the entire day. Because you have established at the beginning of the day that you are the observer, and the observer, once established, tends to persist. It tends to reassert itself throughout the day. It tends to create, in the moments when reaction would normally be automatic, a pause, a breath, a moment of clear seeing before the response. When you encounter a situation that triggers the familiar contraction, the familiar anxiety or resistance or grasping, instead of immediately acting from that contraction, watch it. Watch the contraction arise. Notice where it is in your body. Notice the thought that accompanies it. Notice the story that immediately begins to construct itself around it. And notice who is noticing all of that. That noticing is the observer, and the observer, in that moment, has a choice that the reactor does not. The reactor can only react. The observer can see clearly and respond from clarity. And the response from clarity is always more aligned with what is actually possible than the reaction from contraction. When you are in a conversation and you feel the impulse to defend, to explain, to justify, to convince, watch that impulse. Notice it arising. Notice the story behind it. Notice what it is protecting. And ask yourself, from the observer position, what would I say if I were not defending anything? What would I see if I were not protecting the story? What is actually here in this moment, in this exchange that I have been looking past in my effort to maintain the construction? The answer to those questions is always more interesting than the defense, always more aligned with what is real, always more capable of shifting the field of the interaction toward something genuinely new. This is the practice, not a technique, not a formula, a fundamental shift in the position from which you engage reality. From reactor to observer, from story to seeing, from the gap to the field, from the construction to the witness of the construction. And the field, the quantum probability field that is collapsing into your specific reality in every moment, responds to this shift with a precision and a speed that, once you have experienced it, you cannot explain away, cannot reduce to coincidence, cannot attribute to anything other than what it is, the field responding to a clear observer. Let me give you the third and final practice of this transmission. This is the one that integrates everything. This is the one you carry with you. Pause here. This is not a thought exercise. This is an observation. I want you to bring to mind the thing you most want to see manifest in your life. Not as a visualization, not as an image you are trying to hold and project and send into the universe. As a clear observation, as something you are seeing, not something you are hoping for. Notice the difference in how that feels. Notice whether you can hold it as a clear observation rather than a desire. Notice whether you can see it with the quality of attention that sees without needing it to be different, because it is not yet different, and clear observation does not require it to be. Now notice what happens when you observe it this way. Notice whether the field around it feels different. Notice whether there is less tension in the observation. Notice whether something in the quality of the possibility shifts when you see it as something that is rather than something that is not yet. This is the quantum shift. This is the change in observation quality that changes the collapse rate. Not pretending it has already manifested. That is not clear observation, that is a different kind of story. But seeing it as a real possibility in the field. Seeing it as something that exists in the wave function, as something that is available for collapse, as something that the field is entirely capable of producing given a clear observer. Hold that observation for a moment. Let it be as real as what is currently physical in your experience. Not more real, as real. Let the probability and the physical occupy the same quality of observation. Let your attention treat both with the same clarity, the same stillness, the same genuine seeing. And notice what happens in the field. Notice whether something shifts. Notice whether the distance between what is and what is possible feels different. Notice whether the gap you have been observing, the gap the field has been collapsing into, is still the most prominent feature of your observation, or whether something else has become visible. What you just did is not visualization, it is not manifestation technique, it is a shift in the quality of your observation. And the field right now is responding to that shift. Not tomorrow, not when you have done enough of this. Right now, in this moment, the wave function of your reality is responding to the quality of your attention. That's not belief. That's quantum mechanics. Now, there is something I want to address directly, because this transmission will reach people who are skeptical of the language of higher beings and elevated intelligences. And that skepticism deserves to be met with honesty rather than bypassed. The skepticism is not wrong. The skepticism is, in fact, a form of clear observation. It is seeing through claims that are not grounded. It is refusing to accept comfortable fantasy as truth. And that refusal, that insistence on seeing clearly rather than believing comfortably, is exactly the quality of observation this transmission is pointing at. The question is not whether you believe in higher beings. The question is whether you are willing to see clearly, whether you are willing to look at what you have been avoiding, whether you are willing to occupy the observer position rather than the reactor position, whether you are willing to let the quality of your observation shift and watch what the field does in response. That experiment does not require belief in elevated intelligences. It requires only the willingness to observe, to genuinely, consistently, undefendedly watch what is actually happening in your experience when you shift from reaction to witnessing, to let the evidence of your own observation be the authority rather than any framework or tradition or claim. If you do that experiment, and if you genuinely inhabit the observer position for even a few days, with the consistency and clarity that this transmission has been pointing at, you will not need to believe in anything. You will see. And what you see will be more compelling than any belief. Because the field is real. The responsiveness is real. The acceleration that occurs when a clear observer meets the probability field is real. You do not need a cosmological framework to access it. You need only the willingness to look. And if, in the course of that looking, you encounter something that feels like a field of intelligence larger than your individual consciousness, if you sense, in the quality of the stillness that genuine observation produces, something that is watching alongside you with a quality of clarity and care that exceeds what you can account for with your personal history, you can call that whatever you want. You can call it the quantum field. You can call it higher consciousness. You can call it the deeper self. You can call it God or the universe or the intelligence of the field. The name matters far less than the recognition that you are not observing alone, that the field you are observing is also observing you, and that the quality of your observation is being met in every moment by the quality of a field that is oriented toward your clarity. That is the relationship. That is what this transmission has been pointing at. Not a set of techniques, not a cosmological belief system, a relationship between the observer and the field. A relationship in which your clarity is always met by the field's responsiveness, in which your willingness to see is always honored by the field's willingness to reveal, in which the speed of what is possible is always a function of the quality of what you are willing to look at. Look closer. We are coming to the completion of this transmission. But before we close, there is something that needs to be said about what happens after, about what you do with what you have seen here, about how you carry the observer position into the life that is waiting for you on the other side of this moment. The most common response to a transmission like this is inspiration, a genuine shift in the quality of awareness, a felt sense of the observer position and what it makes possible, and then, within hours or days or sometimes weeks, a gradual return to the familiar. The reactive patterns reassert themselves. The stories reactivate. The looking away resumes, and the person who felt the shift wonders what happened to it, wonders whether it was real, wonders whether they are capable of sustaining what they glimpsed. This is not failure. This is the nature of the shift. The observer position is not something you achieve and then maintain effortlessly forever. It is something you return to again and again, each time with a little more ease, each time with a little more speed, each time with a little more recognition of what it feels like to be the witness rather than the reactor, until the returning becomes faster than the leaving, until the observer position becomes the default rather than the aspiration. The practice is the returning, not the staying, the returning. Every time you notice you have been reacting, every time you catch yourself in the story, in the gap, in the looking away, and you choose to return to the observer position, you are doing the practice. You are strengthening the capacity. You are deepening the groove of clear seeing in the quantum field of your experience. And the field, being responsive, meets each return with increasing ease. It is as if the field recognizes the observer when the observer returns, as if the wave function remembers the quality of observation it has received and is ready to resume the collapse rate that the clear observer produces. The returning is not a sign that you failed to maintain the shift. It is the shift. The shift is not a destination you arrive at and stay in. It is a direction you keep choosing. And the choosing, the consistent, persistent, patient choosing of clarity over reaction, witnessing over looking away, seeing over story, is what changes the fundamental quality of your observation over time. And the field, over time, responds to that changed quality with the acceleration that this transmission has been describing. Not all at once, not in a single dramatic moment of transformation, but in the accumulation of clear observations, each one contributing to the coherence of the observer position, each one adding to the signal that the field receives, each one making the next collapse a little faster, a little more aligned with what is actually possible. This is not a quick fix. This is not a technique for rapid manifestation. This is something more fundamental. This is the reclamation of the observer position as your natural state. The return to the clarity that was always available. The recognition of the power that has always been yours. not because you earned it or developed it or manifested it, but because it is what you are. The observer is the most powerful position in the universe, not because it controls, not because it forces, not because it commands the field to produce what it wants, but because it sees clearly. And clarity, genuine, undefended, unfiltered clarity, is the only force that transforms without resistance. You have been the observer all along. You have been watching this entire time. The question has never been whether you could be the observer. The question has been whether you were willing to see what the observer sees. And today, you chose to look. When the noise of the day has settled, when you find yourself reacting instead of watching, and you feel the pull to return to the observer position, come back to this transmission. Watch it again in that stillness, and if you know someone who has been circling something they are not yet willing to look at, someone who is ready but hasn't found the courage to stop circling, share this with them. Because one clear observer in someone's field gives them permission to look. It raises the quality of observation around them. What you share here doesn't just reach them, it creates a field of collective seeing between you, and that field is more powerful than either of you observing alone. Before we close, there is something that needs to be said about what happens after. About what you do with what you have seen here, about how you carry the observer position into the life that is waiting for you on the other side of this moment. Before we close, I want to do something that is part of every transmission in this field. I want to ask you to bring your observation into the community, not to perform your insight, not to demonstrate your understanding, but to add your seeing to the collective field of observation that is being built here. If this transmission landed, if something in what you heard today was the thing you needed to see, if the quality of your observation shifted even slightly, if you found the thing you have been looking past and allowed yourself to look at it directly, I want you to share what you saw. Not the details, not the story, just the quality of it. Just the recognition. Drop a word in the comments, one word that describes what you observed when you finally looked, or type the phrase that will add your signal to the field. I see it now, and it cannot unsee itself. Because when you do that, when you name what you saw even in a single word, you are completing the observation. You are bringing it all the way through from the quantum field to the physical field of language and communication. You are collapsing the wave function of your insight into a form that exists in the shared reality. And that completion, that full collapse from probability to physical form, is what makes the transformation permanent rather than temporary. The observer who names what they see has seen it fully. And what has been seen fully cannot be unseen. Like this video, if it gave you the courage to look, not because the number matters, but because the act of saying, yes, I was willing to see, that act is itself an observation. It is the observer confirming its own position, and the field responds to that confirmation. Share this transmission with someone who needs to look. Not someone who needs to be fixed, someone who is ready to see, someone who has been circling the thing they've been avoiding long enough that they are ready, finally, to stop circling and look directly. Because the courage to look is contagious. The quality of one clear observer in a field raises the quality of observation for everyone in that field. And subscribe to stay in this field. Not as passive consumption, as an ongoing practice of returning to the observer position, as a commitment to the consistent, patient, persistent choosing of clarity over reaction, as a recognition that the work of clear seeing is not a one-time event but a daily practice, and that having a field to return to, a transmission, a community, a consistent pointing at the thing you've been avoiding, makes the returning easier. Because the observer does not work alone. The observer is strengthened by other observers. The field of collective clear seeing is more powerful than any individual observation. And this community is that field now. Let's close with the thing that this entire transmission has been building toward. The thing that all the quantum mechanics and the parables and the practices have been pointing at. The simple, direct, undeniable truth that sits at the center of everything we have explored here. You are the observer. You have always been the observer. The reactor, the storyteller, the avoider, the striver, the performer. Those are not what you are. Those are what you have been doing. And the difference between what you are and what you have been doing is the entire distance between your current reality and what is possible for a consciousness that sees clearly. The field is not withholding what is possible for you. The field has been collapsing into a precise reflection of the quality of your observation. And the quality of your observation has been shaped by the story you have been living inside rather than watching, by the things you have been looking past rather than at, by the gap you have been observing rather than the field. The moment you shift that, the moment you occupy the observer position and bring your clear, undefended, genuinely curious attention to what is actually here, the field responds, not eventually. Not after you have done enough of the practice. Now, in this moment. With a speed that reflects the efficiency of a field that has been ready all along to collapse into something far vaster than what the story allowed. That is the shock. That is the speed. That is what the elevated intelligences see when a human consciousness finally, truly stops looking away. They see the wave function expand. They see the probability space of what is possible suddenly include what was previously outside the range of collapse. They see the field begin to reorganize around a clear observer with the speed of something that was ready all along. And they see you. Specifically, precisely, individually, you, making the choice that most consciousnesses spend entire lifetimes avoiding, the choice to see, the choice to look directly at what has been running your reality from outside your awareness, the choice to be the observer rather than the observed, the choice to stop reacting long enough to watch, and to let what you watch transform in the light of your clarity. That choice is available to you right now, not tomorrow, not when conditions are better or the timing is right, or you feel more ready, right now, in this moment, with the life you have and the patterns you have and the things you have been avoiding looking at. Right now, you can choose to be the observer. And the field, which has been waiting with perfect patience for exactly this quality of observation, will respond. You were never meant to look away. The observer is the most powerful position in the universe. What you watch, you change. What you avoid controls you. Now you see, and what has been seen cannot be unseen.